This here is Patrick, who lived in the 1990s, and this here is Petruchio, who lived in the 1590s. They both have goals of making Kat like them, but they go about it different ways. Petruchio, how did you manage? You said, "Thus have I politically begun my reign, and 'tis my hope to end successfully. My falcon now is sharp and passing empty. Until she stoops, she must not be full gorged." What did you mean when you said that?
It's really quite simple. She didn't have much choice. Once I agreed on a dowry with her father, she was mine. In order to get her to love me, I forced her to be obedient by denying her food and sleep. She was soon shaped into a good wife for me. When I said that, I meant that I was starting to tame her, and until she submitted to me, she would not eat or sleep.
Patrick, how does this compare to what you were planning to do?
I had a very different way about getting her. When we first talked, she didn't like me that much. She was super skeptical. It took me many attempts for her to actually start opening up to me. And unlike Petruchio, I tried to treat her the best I could so she would like me by choice. I tried to do sweet things for her, like take her to fun places. I bought her a guitar, so... I did make some mistakes, however, like trying to light a cigarette in front of her and being paid to take her out.
Wow, so you guys really do have different ways of getting someone to like you. Petruchio, why were you so harsh to Kat?
I felt like I had to be harsh and persistent in order to tame Kat into a more obedient person. This is because when I first met her, she acted shrewish and was too independent and rebellious to be a good wife.
Were there times when you were sweet and loving to her, at least?
I admit there were times when I was being sweet. However, I didn't actually mean it. I was constantly being sarcastic in order to annoy Kat into submission. For example, when I first met her, she said she didn't like to be called Kate. I annoyed her by saying, "You lie in faith, for you are called Plain Kate and Bonny Kate, and sometimes Kate the Cursed. But Kate, the prettiest Kate in Christendom, Kate of Kate Hall, my super dainty Kate, for dainties of all Kates, and therefore Kate." I was never actually sweet her. I just tried to break her by being annoying to her.
What are your thoughts, Patrick? What was the point of you buying the guitar and taking her to fun places, but also trying to light a cigarette and receiving payment for taking her out?
Everything I did was in an attempt to get her to like me. However, I made mistakes along the way, which additionally made her appreciate the good moments that much more.
How did you keep making these mistakes and still feel confident enough that she was going to come back to you?
I kept making lots of mistakes, like smoking right in front of her, but every time it seemed like I lost her, I always got her back. I always felt really bad about what I did, and that's why I feel like I was able to get her back. My apologies were genuine, and I actually wanted her to feel better. Some of the ways I try to get her back by apologizing was getting her a guitar, or singing in front of the entire soccer team. I knew I made a fool out of her, so I wanted to make myself seem like a fool so we were like even. After all the things I did to try to get her to stay with me, and it worked, I felt invincible.
It sounds like your relationship with Kat is quite the roller coaster, Patrick. Petruchio, it seems like in the end she submitted to you, but do you think she's different from other women?
Yes, I think that she is definitely different from other women. For example, Bianca is way more tame than Kat and acts way more submissive. Kat acts a lot more independent and rebellious, which definitely annoyed me. She did not want to get married to me, but it didn't matter. I was able to tame her up, and now she is just as obedient as any other woman.
You're using the word tame, which is pretty controversial. Why do you use that term?
In my eyes, she is nothing more than a falcon or shrew waiting to be tamed. If I hadn't shaped her up, she would not be desired by anyone and would be alone her whole life. I saved her from her shrewish fate, and I have every right to explain that I tamed her into a different person, because that is exactly what I did. She acted like an animal, and there is no other word for changing an animal's nature. Do not speak such ridiculous things to me.
Yo, that was like top 10 toughest lines.
Wow, that sounds pretty intense. Patrick, what do you think about Kat?
Kat is very different from other women.
How so?
Before I talked to her, she acted tougher than any other girl. She used to be very opposed to relationships. When we got closer, she finally opened up to me and told me that she didn't want to do what everybody else expected her to do.
Do you think the way you got her to open up to you was appropriate at all?
At first, when I started talking to her, it was only because I was getting paid to do so. It was all because of money, which is not okay, and I severely regret it. I found out about her interests and went to her favorite band. I found out this information by spying on her, which was not appropriate, and I wish I could take it back. Although in the end, she ended up opening up to me, so I think it was worth it in the long run.
Petruchio, were your actions appropriate?
Of course, I was trying to get her to open up and change. She needed to open up and become more obedient, otherwise she would be nothing. I was harsh to her because it was necessary to shape her up. She was too rebellious and she needed to be taught to be a better wife. My actions to change her were appropriate and absolutely necessary.
Well, your actions sound like they have good intentions. Few mean so well. Why did Kat dislike you so much before and after you guys were introduced?
She did not dislike me. She simply had not been tamed yet. She was wild and hated all people. Now that I have tamed her up, she acts like a true woman.
Wow, that's intense. Whatever. Patrick, why did Kat dislike you so much before you guys were introduced?
Because she thought I was a bad person, and she saw me do bad things.
How do you think the gender roles of your time affected your relationship with Kat?
I think that in my time, women were expected to be obedient to their husbands. And if they weren't, they will not live a happy life. Kat is my wife, but she also needs to do what I say and obey what I tell her. Even though she is my wife, she has responsibilities she has to carry out. Our relationship is built less on love and more on orders and responsibilities.
What's your take on that, Patrick?
Women in my time were seen as actual humans, although they were still seen as trophies to some guys.
It seems like both of you guys got the same results, although your plans to get the result were a little different. That concludes the interview, and we hope you guys enjoyed.
I must go.
Alright. You want a pizza?
What is this pizza thing you speak of?
It's good food. Good food. Had a very different way about getting her.
Patrick, it sounds like your relationship with Kat.
She needed to open up and become an... Oh, hell no.
Kat.